The flickering candle flames danced in the eyes of the assembled monks and nuns. Their heads were bowed in sorrowful prayer. For hours they had been at prayer, the sound of their Gregorian chants rising like incense to the heavens, carrying with it the grief of all humanity. In the center of the chapel, bathed in the warm glow of votive candles, stood a simple wooden cross. Beneath it, the lifeless form of a young woman lay shrouded in the dark folds of her habit. She was but one of many who had come to this remote monastery seeking solace in its ancient walls, only to be struck down by a sudden illness and carried away by the cold hands of death. As the final notes of the requiem faded into the stillness of the night, a profound silence settled over the chapel. It was a silence pregnant with sorrow, a tangible manifestation of the pain that etched deep lines on the faces of the assembled faithful. Then, as if from a great distance, the sound of footsteps echoed through the vast emptiness of the building, footsteps that seemed to carry the weight of centuries past. They grew louder, resonating with an otherworldly resonance that sent shivers down the spines of the monks and nuns. Slowly, as if emerging from a dream, the figure of Jesus materialized at the entrance to the chapel. His face was an image of boundless mercy, his eyes reflecting the eternal flame of divinity. A soft, otherworldly light seemed to emanate from him, illuminating every crevice of the ancient chapel. The monks and nuns stirred, their heads lifting in unison to behold the wondrous apparition. As Jesus advanced, the air around him seemed to vibrate with an unseen energy. His every step resonated with power, yet there was no sound, only an overwhelming sense of awe and reverence. He walked among them, touching the shoulders of the weeping nuns and laying his hands on the heads of the bowed monks. In that instant, the sorrow that had been their only companion for so long began to lift. It was as if the very essence of their despair was being lifted, replaced by a burgeoning hope. In his gentle gaze, they saw not judgment, but compassion, not condemnation, but forgiveness. He whispered words of comfort, too soft to be heard, yet somehow understood by every soul present. Then, as if waking from a shared dream, the monks and nuns found themselves alone once more in the dimly lit chapel. The cross stood as before, but now it seemed less a symbol of death and more a beacon of resurrection. The lifeless form in the shroud was no longer a reminder of death's embrace, but a testament to the promise of eternal life. The assembled faithful looked to each other, their faces still wet with tears, but now illuminated by newfound hope. The sorrow was still there, a constant ache in their hearts, for life in this world is not without its sorrows. But something had shifted, a transformation wrought by the presence of the divine, and as the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky with hues of gold and rose, the monks and nuns of the secluded monastery began to sing, their voices, though still heavy with grief, now carried the triumphant notes of the Gloria, for they had seen the light of Christ in the depths of their despair. And in that light, their suffering found meaning, their sorrow purpose, and their faith became a radiant song of eternal light, piercing the darkness of the night.